member for Senate.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Kama. You know, Kama was chair of KMA, and I followed after him. And I think he has summarized what he has always said. I think he had the opportunity to do it. But the second name means to tie it so that you sort it out. But I know the first name has to do with Serese Kama. Yes. So since what Serese Kama did in the south is working, I hope what you are doing here will work. You know, when something big with many systems is not working, you touch here, it's 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 not working. And you try to solve it here, it does try to solve it here. There must be something central not working. That's where we start from. So, to me, all the issues that you people in the task force have come are various parts of the 6 elements of the health systems. And none is working. Kama is very disturbed. We are all very disturbed. Me, I'll ask you one thing. Ask why all systems are not working. I'll give you my proposal why all systems are not working. It is the political leadership at the very top. And linked with that, the business interests. And linked with that, integrity. And linked with that, nepotism. Kama, that's where you start. And when I say at the very top, I don't actually mean the president as people always think. It is actually the leadership from the president, the cabinet, and even coming to us. What is the political ethos? Do we really want the health system to work? Even here in parliament, even you there, all of you, do you really want it to work? Politically, do we want it to work? Can we subdue political interest? Can we subdue business interest? Can we subdue nepotism? Can we look at the issue of integrity? That is what is making the whole system not work. I will start by saying and look at ministry. And the best thing that has come here is the position of the Director General. And Kama, this is the whole government, it's not just health. What is a ministry? Which position defines a ministry in all ministries? Is it the position of the minister, the cabinet secretary? Is it the position of the PS? Is it the position of the director? All ministries. It is the position of the director that defines a ministry. Take 3 people, I'll take 4 or 5. Take the minister, take the PS, take the human resource, take the accountant, take the finance officer, take the procurement officers, take those people 5. You can put them in any ministry. They don't give you the name of the ministry. If you take those people 5, the same, you don't change them. And then you give them a director of water. What does that ministry become? Ministry of Water. Don't change those people. Give them the director of agriculture. What does that ministry become? So if you give them the director of health, so if the director of health is functionally not there, what ministry do you have? Kama, that's the beginning. And it brings me to the position of the Director General. At WHO, you know, if you are picking, if you are the WHO is run by an executive board. And that executive board, the rest of the WHO, it's about 160, I don't know how many there are now, countries. Then the countries, by rotation, get their people in the executive board. That executive board, the highest technical person sits there. Dr. Mott, has it changed? No. So, if the minister in your country is not a doctor, that minister does not sit at the executive board. If below them the PS is not a doctor or a doctor actually, not even a health person, they do not sit in the executive board. The third person in all countries, as it goes, is the Director General. It used to be Director of Medical Services here. The term was brought in to be in line with the whole world, the WHO. So then the Director General sits in the executive board. So the executive board of WHO are all doctors, because they're heading the global health on behalf of the UN. Amoth had the opportunity to chair it. I sat there, but I didn't chair it. And I always felt so, I sympathized with you. They didn't know that the Director General, Tedros Ghebreyesus, was actually your employee. In Kenya, you are acting. That's where it starts, guys. So let the ministry be led by the director. The rest, I'm saying this, in all ministries, the minister, the PS, the accountant, the health, the human resource person, the accountant, the procurement officers are support systems. The Director of Agriculture gives the direction in what should be done in agriculture. Then, these people, the one we have explained, then support them. So the Director of Health will say, he's the one who has to have all the data you are asking for. I was surprised that you are still getting data from donors. I refused when I was Director of Medical Service. I'm not going to accept data on HIV from USAID. Looks like we have gone back. Yeah. Mr. Sabi, you are there. Tulikata. We want our own data. So when the director and this team, technical team, if they give this policy position, as you are saying, and then it is that is what constituted and informs the minister. And that when it goes to the cabinet, as a cabinet document, it has technical content. Cabinet documents do not start at the top. They start at the bottom by technical people. Then he says, I want the director, he or she, the director, even if it's agriculture, the same thing will apply in agriculture, it will apply in water, it will apply. I want so many officers. I want so many hospitals in these places. I want so many theaters. Then, if there are people who are to be employed, then the human resource person does what? Brings those people. But still they get the specification from the technical person who to employ. If they want to build the number of hospitals and the amount of money is required, then they go to the PS. The PS brings the money. It's not the PS who says where the money is going to be used. That is decided by technical people. If he wants to procure drugs, then he says what drugs. You remember our yearly meetings, Abadeas, Abadea 1, Abadea 2. Everybody used to sit down and we say in 3 days meeting what drugs are needed in the country. And that became the procurement plan. The procurement officer is sitting there. The procurement officer does not go with people in some place and come back to the ministry with the procurement plan. It must come from the technical people, from the ground. Then they procure. So they support the directorate, the technical directorate. What is our problem here, Kama? A PS is trying to explain to the world Mpox. Nobody believes that kind of thing. And there's a director of health sitting at the side trying to give a little more information. Who should explain to the world the disease? If you go to a hospital and you are operated on, is it the finance officer who is going to explain to you the operation that was done? No. Why are we doing it in health? So the first thing is establish the position, the director general, and what it should be, and the respect it deserves. Before independence, it was actually the Chief Justice, and the next person was the Director General. And in health, there was only one other person, the Medical Officer of Health. That is the system you are saying this one is a pale shadow of. So let's go there. So I started with that one, the position of the Director of Health and the understanding. And let me say it at my age, come on. You just went home a little earlier. We are all going home. I hope they won't call me back. They called you. But in the Kibaki government, I know many times when ministers or three said they wanted this and they asked the director, what should we do? And you explain, say, tutafanya vile director nasema, hiyo mioni naona ni sawa. I'm not saying it in health. I'm saying it in education. Why is funding not working, university funding? Because proxy means testing cannot be done online. That is the only reason the thing is failing. So all the bands are wrong. So I think let's establish that. Then let's look at the structure. You know, to me it is just music, you know. I know how I was in health and I know how I moved to gender and I know, when I see, and one PS recently also left and I told her before that you utaenda. Where were we? Was it no, at the golf course place? Because Windsor. I told one PS, where utaenda? Alienda. Because the structure is not functional. When you have the structure, the medical services and public health, and now you try to actually look at what should be where in terms of function, and it was clear to me, to all of us, because it was budget time, that what was making that decision was the amount of money that is going to each department. My colleagues, would chief, you are there.
I don't want you to take that direction.
You know, if you don't say the truth, nothing works. Somebody once told me that if you don't like to say the truth, then it's better to keep quiet with the truth.
I don't want you to go into detail.
I don't want to go there, okay,
yes,
okay,
yes.
Because people get to know, okay, anyway, yes. Fine.
Yeah.
But examples are good when you are teaching. People learn better, isn't it? Yeah. So that structure, I know, because even when the ministry was first split with 2 ministers, it gave us a problem. I think let's have one ministry, and those public health and medical services be technical directorates under one director. Now, when you have your meetings, or who are from the ministry? You. When you have your meetings, when it is the PS Public Health and Sanitation, who is the director? You sit there as a director, right? And now that meeting is over and the matter is over. Then there's another meeting with medical services. You go again there, move there as the DG. So in your organogram, how do you report? Come can tell us about that organogram. That organogram can't work. You want one DG who sits and then he listens and then he will tell you that the others should just be the directorate. So the director general will say, in the medical services, this is what we want. In the public health, this is what we want. So that you have a clear line, it is the minister, the PS, and the director. I've seen that organogram. Some places have dots. How are dots, the human resource person, with the people who do structures, how are dots supervised? So I'm giving practical suggestions because I think that's where the problems are. So I think that should be done. And then you will look at relationships in the country. We have a county government and a national government. So when policies are made, it's for the whole country. But how do these policies move down and how are they? There is Article 189 of the Constitution that gave the indication, and we tried to do that when we did the Health Act by actually consulting a health sector intergovernmental forum, consultation forum. Kama, I don't know you people, is that forum working? Because that is where technical officers from the ministry should meet with technical officers from the county. So both technical people agree on one thing. Then it goes to the Council of Governors. And therefore, the policy therefore is one. So that the governors do not disown it or say ministry is forcing them when they want to buy equipment. The need for that equipment should have been decided earlier by technical people, including those who are from the counties. And you know, Dr. Wasa, you people don't deny it, when you pick somebody to be a chair of the CECs and you start meeting at that, if they're very active, they normally leave that position. I'm not going into names. Because you need somebody who comes and says, as a country, the technical people from the counties have said this, they have agreed with the technical people from the government, and now when this goes to the minister's level and the governor's level, then it is one thing. So that structure, I think we need to look at it, my friends. Then there is the ministry and the parastatals. I'm really going to be blunt here. When you have a parastatal, it should be allowed to run. We don't want, when you call the head of a parastatal and there's a problem, he tells people in public that he got instruction from the ministry. Then that officer goes home, the minister says. So, how? Let the minister, and there are two particular parastatals I have in mind, KEMSA and SHA. Whether it is SHA or NHIF, the ministry should let it run. If the board and the chair of the board and the officers there are not functional, that is what you change. But the PS or the minister does not now go to do the day-to-day management of the parastatals, particularly KEMSA and SHA. Because in Naivasha, it was very clear, the PS was very could say clearly what the vision is, but the officer, the chair, the next one that came was the chair, and the chair didn't seem to know much. But when eventually they called the CEO, members felt, yeah, that is the guy who should have been telling us things. So it means the higher level is not allowing the lower level to work. And let me tell you, it's not only in health. The Women Enterprise Fund stopped working about sometime 2 years. And because of digitization, we asked the CEO, why did you? He was said it was a presidential directive. But did you think it was going to work? He said, no, I didn't think. And so, but why did you do it? Then he kept quiet. I asked the minister was there, was he, if a technical officer thinks something cannot work and it is a higher directive, it is the work of the minister to convince the higher directive that now, Your Excellency, this is good, but our technical people are saying it is not workable. And so the thing, well, if you don't want to go home, you will never do well a job you are afraid of losing. So yeah. So that, again, is something we should do here. That relationship should be done there. So the relationship between the two parts of the Ministry of Union, the relation between the county government and the national government, thanks you to be said. The relationship between the ministry and the parastatals, we created, I know because we are the first time to insist that drugs should be bought by KEMSA and not at the ministry and take to KEMSA as a store. Merudi. Sasa, again, here, buying, sometimes the buying is going up. I was very sad today when I realized that now USAID is using meds to procure and then take to KEMSA to store. That's a problem. You were there. We solved it in 2005. If KEMSA is not good enough to buy for us, and you know meds was created when KEMSA was there. We were there when we were helping the Chuck and the group to create meds. So I think that also is important. Now, training, numbers. Somebody must say how many people we need, and we must determine who and how they are trained. So we must have a way, and it means that regulatory authorities. Right now, the admission in the universities, I'll come to that, is totally independent. And if now we remove, as is being suggested, that remove the medical council from that, then obviously it's going to be a problem. So we need the numbers to know the people we need. There must be indexing to know who is going to come out. Madam, you are there, you know about indexing. You can teach the whole country. A lot of people who know things, so they just, maybe you are not allowed to talk. You know about indexing, so that we know who came in. And so if people are brought in the middle, you can get them out. So, and then determine the qualifications. We must have the same qualifications. This thing of BSc everything. I asked when Kenyatta University under Professor Mugenda actually was trying to say we want BSc clinical medicine and surgery. I still ask up today, what is the difference between a degree in medicine for a clinical officer and a degree in medicine for an MBCHB? These two people in the country, who is doing what? What is the difference if they both have degrees? We have an opportunity to say, these are the qualifications and these are the cadres. Even if our colleagues don't like it, that has to be done, so that we know who is doing what. So that must be done. And if they're undergraduate, here, it's again, you are talking about education. Right now, and the legislative proposal he says I have, is Commission of University Education now does not need to refer to the Medical Practitioner and Dentist Board or to the Nursing Council. They give the degrees because they're independent. My amendment is only one word, come. From May to shall. I've had a lot of problem with it. people don't want to leave to do it. So that training, it's important. And then if you go into the undergraduate training, we now have cooks. Cooks now is doing the administration for all the colleges, TVETs, whether they are agriculture, whether they are health. But you know, you are saying there are many laws. Some are actually being disobeyed. Today, the admission in KMTC by cooks is illegal. And this committee said so. If somebody were to go to court, those who have passed there can actually be said they didn't get there legally. So again, you will have to get to education and say, you can't train people because the University Act is different. So when you are training doctors, you don't care. I think the engineers board managed to get some reprieve in court. But I think we need to go there and look at it. And then, when you come to postgraduate training, something must happen on this one. Postgraduate training of doctors, I'll tell you as an example, and all the other people, these people work. Your chair said it is 1,000. Those 1,000 people, they are postgraduate students. If they are not there, Kenyatta will not run. Dr. Rwasa was there recently. You try to pay them, right? Yeah, because the counties are paying them, but they're working in Kenyatta. The governors are right to refuse to let them come. No, they are now just refusing to release them. Then they'll go on strike. But the counties are right. Because you can't, the employer who pay a guy who is working in Kenyatta or in Moi, but you are paying it and you are in Migori. We had made a proposal. I think it was passed in one of the budget things, that let those positions be declared training positions. And if it's MED, Kenyatta should say, I need so many training positions. And the university, we don't have somebody from the university. The university can only admit postgraduates against that number. And then let them be paid from the ministry. They shouldn't be paid from the county. Because at that time they are running a parastatal in the ministry from the national government. So the positions, when these are people who are training for so many years, then they go. When they leave that position, another one comes in. Human resource, you can plan that with, say, 5% failure. So if you're giving them 3 years, you say 5 may fail and they may repeat, and they cannot repeat for so many years. Why is it so difficult to plan that? That is something you can do tomorrow. It will relieve the problem of frequent strikes with postgraduate people, which affect the counties. So we need that. Then when we come to internship, we have to agree. And I think we'll have to sit as a profession, whether it's nursing or this, really, who needs to do internship? In our time, it's basically the dentist and the medical practitioner who did internship. But the truth is, let's face it, instant internship is now being seen as an entry into employment. And therefore, the large numbers that the ministry is unable to take care of. You don't have the courage to say, we will sit down. If you ask me now, I'll say, let the dentists do in first, let the clinical officers do internship, let the medical, people who are actually directly involved, because when, as a student, there are certain things you cannot be allowed to do when you are a student. But when you qualify, now you are doing them for the first time, but you are actually working. There has to be a definition somewhere. The word internship in this country, there's a confusion between internship in the industry, people who are doing other things, and they are put in industry to see what is happening. That is not the internship of what the doctors do. They are working. If they're there, no work is being done. So we can plan these things. So when we think of regulation, yes, there are very many laws. We agree. And what makes them large is actually the regulatory laws for the various cadres. If each cadre has a regulatory law, and you say there are 50 cadres, there'll be 50 laws. I think we must start saying, how can we amalgamate them together? Let me again, I want to say these things openly. I don't see. We missed the boat in 1978, what is 78 or 79, when the Medical Practitioner Dentist Act was done. I don't see why clinical officers didn't go together with the medical practitioners. What is when you have a doctor or a medical practitioner doing a clinic, a small clinic in a town where he goes, and the clinical officer, what they are seeing is not very different. Why are we regulating them differently? Now we have the community oral health workers, they are coming. We have the guys who do glasses, optometrists, they are coming. Are we going to do another board for optometrists? Are we going to do another board? At least community oral health workers, we were convinced when we were doing this act, they are now under the medical. So some will have to be amalgamated. The politics of it may be tough, but we must try to convince them. It's this task force that can do it. When Dr. Moth tries it, he'll have a lot of fire in his hands. I know when we have laboratory technologies and pathologists trying to say who should who should own labs, but I think they just have to be done. So we tried to do that when we were establishing in Part 4 of the Health Act, establishment of Kenya Health, establishment of a Kenya Health Professional Oversight Authority, that is Part 4. What we had in mind was actually, can all these regulatories sit together as a council and then be regulated together through that? It is there. I don't know whether it has been implemented. Let's implement it and try it. If it doesn't work, we will then look at it. Then we also have the issue that the Health Services Commission, because when health workers see themselves, a nurse, whether she's in Nairobi or working in Kenyatta or working in Migori, she sees herself as a nurse, I would like to be able to be paid the same, under the same terms, be transferred on the same terms, and if possible transferred. And we said there's need for a body that looks at that, so that this. And we tried to put that on the establishment of the Kenya Health Human Resource Advisory Council. Has it been tried? It's Part 4 of the Health Act. Let's try it. If it's not working, then we will look at another thing. So if we do that, even what we have done alone, we'll start to reduce this. And one of the recommendations, it wasn't put here, is that after this Health Act 2027 was passed, there was need to review all the acts in the health sector to see if they were in line with this or amend this one to take care of them so that we have one parent or one father, I don't know, mother or father act, which has everything in it, so that we remove all the acts that you are worried about. And then there was need to also review the Public Health Act. Dr. Moth, how are you handling this one with the Public Health Act at the same time?
You don't respond, Dr. Moth.
They don't. I'm just asking you to think about it. You will report when you meet yourselves. So because if we don't review...
I want Dr. Nyikal to...
This is the last one.
Okay.
Yes. Even if I missed Naivasha that is coming, I'll have said what I wanted to say here. So there was also needed to look at the Health Act and review the Health Act and see if it is this. There are certain parts of it that will remain, but some part of it will go. So I have a lot of respect for my chair. When you raise that time is up, I leave it there. But the bigger picture, the question you ask, if you are heading the Ministry of Health, whether you are a DG or you are a minister, you must have political protection be protected from political interest and must be protected from business interest. Those two, I know, I was there. If you don't have that protection, the ministry won't work. At least, let us, if you want this thing of corruption and you want to eat, let's eat in some ministries. But education and health, please, let them be run on professional lines.
I want that part expand from the answer. I don't think Nyikal is just saying it in light touch. It doesn't mean it. Honorable Kibagendi.
Thank you, Chair.
We want you to be brief, and I'm requesting, we need to take a photo outside after this, so members,
I definitely
please
will be brief.
don't take over.
Dr. Nyikal has actually spoken about a bulk of what I wanted to talk about. The formation of this task force